It's a cool night in Cleveland. We are at Progressive Field, the home of the hottest team in baseball, and in fact the home of the hottest team that baseball has seen in quite some time. The Cleveland Indians have won 17 in a row. The defending American League champions hoping to take it one step further and maybe be the last team standing here in 2017. It has really been a remarkable run for the Indians, who haven't lost since the 23rd of August. It's the longest winning streak since Oakland won 20 in a row 15 years ago. And not only are they winning, they are dominating teams over this 17-game stretch with a collective team ERA well under 2 in that time period. So with a 17-game winning streak, they have just pulled away from everybody in the Central. They're on their way to winning the division. Meanwhile, the opposition tonight, the Baltimore Orioles, 2.5 games out of the second wild card spot, with Minnesota losing to Kansas City earlier today. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Cleveland. Dan Shulman, Jessica Mendoza, Aaron Boone. Before we get to the game, we want to send our thoughts to everybody down in Florida coping with the devastation from Hurricane Irma. We hope wherever you and yours are that you are safe. Now to the ball game tonight. The Indians, as mentioned, as hot as anybody's been in a long time. You saw the ERA. Great rotation, great bullpen. Let's talk about the rotation, and specifically tonight's guy, Trevor Bauer, Booney, pitching better than he ever has.
He really is. He's been an enigma to this point in his career, kind of generating mixed results. But it seems like at 26 years of age, he is really starting to realize that great potential that made him the 3rd overall pick in 2011. And over his last 9 starts, dominant. An 8-0 record, a .250 earned run average. And as the Cleveland Indians get ready to head into another October baseball, their overwhelming pitching staff that is an overwhelming strength, Trevor Bauer's a huge part of it now. And
it's a better lineup, I think, than they're given credit for. It's a dangerous lineup 1 through 9. And they've got a guy who unbelievably may not even be a household name, but probably deserves to be an MVP candidate. Tell us about it.
Dan, he is. Jose Ramirez is one of the best players in the American League. And when you talk about that streak and how hot this offense has been, Jose Ramirez has led the way. I mean, the guy's been batting .400 over the course of that span. He's had 7 home runs. Shoot, he's even had multiple games with multiple home runs, three games with multiple home runs. What he's been able to do with his versatility, playing second base, third base, and being able to be the guy that leads the major leagues in extra base hits and doubles. Pretty much every time he's up to bat, you're expecting that kind of power. As hot as this offense has been, it's been Jose Ramirez that's led the way.
So that's big picture on the team playing better than anybody else right now, the Indians. As for the Orioles, the opposition tonight, they're in a real dogfight to try to get into a wild card spot. To bring us up to date on the O's, here's Buster Olney.
Dan, the Orioles front office bet heavily on this group of players before the trade deadline, keeping Manny Machado, keeping Zach Britton, adding shortstop Tim Beckham and Jeremy Hellickson, who starts tonight. The Orioles surged after that, winning 26 of 42 games, but they've been giving back ground in the race. They're 2.5 games out in the race for the second wild card with 20 games to go. A turnaround is needed tonight against baseball's hottest team. Dan?
All right, Buster, thank you. It does not figure to be easy with the kind of role that the Indians are on right now. Terry Francona has his team smiling, laughing, and having fun, and why not when you've won 17 in a row? Every day he wakes up, they get a great start, they hit, they catch the ball, and he just keeps checking off boxes. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN is presented by Taco Bell and the $5 steak quesarito box. Back here in Cleveland for the Indians and the Orioles, wrapping up this 3-game series. The Indians trying to sweep the series and trying to extend a winning streak to a remarkable 18 games if they can pick up a win over the Orioles tonight. Buck Showalter's team lives and dies with the home run just about as much as any team in baseball. They're led by Manny Machado, having a huge second half, 32 on the season. A breakout year for Jonathan Scope. He's got 31. Adam Jones, 7th year in his career with 25 or more. Rookie Trey Mancini's got 23. Chris Davis in a down year for him. He's still got 23. Mark Trumbo has 22. And Wellington Castillo is 1 home run away from giving the Orioles 7 players with 20 or more home runs on the season. As we take a look at the starting lineup for the Orioles right now, presented by Taco Bell. A lot of right-handed batters. They're as heavy right-handed as just about any team in baseball, but they can punish you if you make mistakes. Trevor Bauer on the mound for the Indians tonight, a 15-game winner on the season and pitching very well, Jess, over his last 9 starts.
Well, what he's done well over those 9 starts, Dan, is that fastball command and then his curveball usage off of it. Super unique guy, from his mechanics to his mindset, even the Swedish metal band that he walks out to.
And underway with the first pitch, foul back by Tim Beckham, the shortstop for the Orioles. And what a move this was for Baltimore. A lot of people at the end of July expected them to be a seller. You heard, well, maybe they'll deal Britton or maybe even Machado, and instead they go out and get Beckham from Tampa Bay, a former 1st overall pick, and all he's done is hit .350 since coming to the Orioles. Beckham leading it off. Machado in the 2 spot. Scope hitting 3rd. And Bauer on an extra day's rest as he takes the mound here tonight. There's a curveball, very important pitch for him, but it misses low ball 2. Last start for Bauer against the White Sox 6 days ago, 6 1/3, 2 runs on 3 hits, walk 1, struck out 9. He's had some big strikeout numbers this year. And a routine 2-hopper to Lindor at short, 1 down. Bauer by far in the best run of his career, and folks around the Indians, coaches and so forth, say he's simplified the routine a little bit. He's tinkering a little bit less. Basically, he's allowing his natural stuff to kind of come out and take over instead of other things maybe holding him back.
I think the one thing that's clear is that he loves to pitch, and because he loves to pitch so much, it's led to a lot of that experimentation with different drills, with different exercises. But I think at 26 years of age, he's really starting to settle into what truly works for him, and I think we're seeing the start of what's about to be a really, really good pitcher in this league.
Manny Machado steps in for the Orioles. And what a second half he's had. Actually started about a week before the All-Star break when he took off. Very un-Machado-like the first couple of months of the season. But you look up now, he's over 270. He's got 32 home runs, 91 RBIs. And of course is as good a defensive player as there is in the game. Swing and a miss at a high fastball, 2-2.
Good look at how Bauer will dial up different velocities with that fastball there, 95 up above the zone.
On how quick he works. I mean, he's a guy that you mentioned at Booney how much he loves to pitch, and similar to a guy like Chris Sale, that as soon as he gets the ball back, he wants to go right back again.
The second baseman throw is wide by Jose Ramirez. Couldn't make a play on that up the middle. That'll be an infield hit for Machado.
We talk about how unique Trevor Bauer and a lot of the things that he's implemented and listened to over the course of his career. Back in high school, he would start to long toss. You see him there earlier with the body blade, something super unique. He can throw it up to 375, 380 feet for his long toss. And you see pitchers long toss before games. You don't see anyone long toss like Trevor Bauer. Foul pole to foul pole, and he can go deeper.
And this is his first warm-up pitch when he takes the game mound just before the game.
And this is to get him to start to drive back down, so he's not just trying to elevate the ball to get him back into his pitching motion.
But I'm sure Terry Francona and the Indians love that the bigger story about him now is how well he's doing, rather than just the the unusual nature of some of his workout programs and so forth. He's become a very dependable guy for them. The guy in the box for the Orioles has become more than a dependable guy. He's become a star this year. Jonathan Schoop, hitting .301, 31 homers, second in the American League in RBIs with 102, behind only Nelson Cruz, and just having a remarkable season. And he lines the ball hard into left field, a base hit. 2 on for the Orioles.
We'll try and challenge Schoop up in the zone, but he shows you that outstanding bat speed that's led to those great power numbers this year. In the heart of the plate, up around the belt, he puts a real quick swing on this ball. A bit of a leg kick. We look in super slow-mo from the side. Watch him get that foot down in plenty of time. And drive through the ball, bat in the hitting zone for such a long time. The Orioles fans have seen that swing a lot this season.
So Baltimore threatening here in the first. 2 on with a 1 out for longtime Orioles center fielder Adam Jones. And Jones having kind of another typical Adam Jones kind of year, hitting .282, 26 home runs, the leader of the team. Baltimore 2.5 out of a playoff spot right now. Minnesota lost to Kansas City earlier today, allowing a lot of the other contenders to move a little bit closer to the Twins for that second wild card spot. But the days of the calendar are slipping away for a lot of these teams. Just 3 weeks left in the season, and so many teams competing for 1 or possibly 2 spots. Yankees won today, so they've been fairly consistently. They got a bit of a cushion for that first wild card spot. Everybody else has their work cut out for them.
What's making it difficult for the Orioles right now is that schedule that remains very difficult, and more games on the road, which they are a different team on the road as compared to Camden Yards, where their power is an overwhelming asset.
Let's take a look at that schedule, and as you said, Aaron, more road games than home games, and they've got an interleague road series as well. Their pitchers have to worry about hitting a couple of times in the last week. Lively crowd here at Cleveland. A lot of them probably went to the Browns game earlier today against the Steelers. And now here at Progressive Field tonight. Bauer doesn't like what he's getting from his catcher Roberto Perez, who is he catches him all the time. He's his regular catcher. They know each other well. They go back to minor league days or together to several years ago. Perez started the signs over. Bauer now has one he wants, and he wanted the curveball, but he bounces it in outside.
And that's been a pitch. He threw 1 strike to the foul off in this at bat to Adam Jones, but up until that, the curveball, which has been a huge pitch for him in this run that he's had, he hasn't been able to locate it the way he wants. And out of the hand, this is just an uncompetitive pitch because you can tell it's a ball.
And a fastball hit high in the air down the right field line. Jay Bruce into foul territory, won't have a play. Well, whenever you have a streak as historic as the one the Indians are on right now, it's got to start with great starting pitching. and the Indians have had great starting pitching. A 1.89 ERA for their starters over the 17 games. Yesterday is the first and only time in the 17 games they didn't score first. The Orioles got 1 run in the first inning. Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, has had a lot to smile about lately. It's the first time in the whole streak the opposing team scored first. Ground ball to second. There's one. On to first. Got him. 4-6-3 double play. Adam Jones kind of signaled like he thought he was safe, and let's see if the Orioles want to have a look at this one. Jones is still hanging out around first base.
A great look at the throwing strength of Francisco Lindor at second base. A slow developing play. He gets off an absolute dart to first, and it does look like it just does beat Adam Jones. We get a look at it here. Ooh, maybe not.
And the Orioles decide against asking for a review, so that is a double play, and we'll go to the bottom of the first. No score here in Cleveland. Indians here into Cleveland. Big double play turned by the Indians to end a Baltimore threat in the top half of the inning. Time now to take a look at the starting lineup for the Indians, presented by Taco Bell.
Well, Dan, there's a lot of love that goes around for shortstops in baseball, but Francisco Lindor not only does it with the glove, as Booney mentioned last inning, but he's done it with the bat. He's first in the AL amongst shortstops with home runs, second in runs, second in OPS. Been huge in that leadoff spot. And the biggest acquisition for the Indians, and one of the biggest in baseball, was the addition of Edwin Encarnacion. In the season that he's had, his 6th consecutive season with 30-plus home runs. He's got 34 this year.
On the mound for the Orioles tonight, right-hander Jeremy Hellickson, who was acquired by the Orioles from the Phillies midway through the season, along with cash considerations. Hyun-Soo Kim among the players who went the other way. And it has been a struggle on the season, especially in his time with the Baltimore, for Hellickson, who spent most of his big league career with Tampa Bay. Last time out went just 2 1/3 against the Yankees, his shortest start of the season. Francisco Lindor to lead it off for the Indians. Lindor with a home run yesterday, his 28th on the season. Not a huge guy, and a guy known for a lot of things. Power not foremost among them, but boy, has his power really developed, and he is in a great groove right now. And when you take into account all the skills he brings as he slices one into the left field corner, the developing power, hitting for average, the defense, some speed. This is one of the best, and he's only 23. This is one of the best players in the game.
You just even watch it on this swing, and just his ability to kind of just understand it, and watch what he does. Watch how long he waits and just almost slices this. Just kind of gets a little bit of a slice behind it, where he's able to make contact with the pitch and just poke it down the left field line. I mean, his ability with bat control, and it's such a simple, probably 75% swing down.
Just And that's such a good approach to have, obviously, but against a guy like Jeremy Hellickson, who against these left-handed hitters wants to use his changeup. So as a hitter, you know he's not overpowering. The longer you can see the ball, the longer you can stay back. It makes that changeup, when he does make a mistake, it puts you in position to handle it, especially though when you're going the other way like that with the fastball. Hellickson has to get some balls to the inside part of the plate to these lefties to set up that changeup if he's going to have success tonight.
And there is a changeup swung on and missed by Indians left fielder Lonnie Chisenhall.
Real good look at the first changeup of the night, and Chisenhall way out in front. Hellickson outstanding arm speed on that pitch, but commanding his fastball is imperative to set that thing up.
Chisenhall pops one up back of short. It's going to drop. And two fielders collide. That ultimately won't change anything after the initial drop. But that just kept drifting and drifting on Beckham, and it goes as a base hit.
Well, it's a good job here by Hellickson of backing up that changeup with a good fastball. He gets it to the inside corner and really jams and ties Chisenhall up. Beckham just does not read this ball properly. He's got to turn and run, and if he does, it probably turns into an easy play. It just continues to drift on him, and then it gets all out of whack out there. Unfortunately, no run scored, but already a run-scoring opportunity now for this red-hot offense.
And the Indians welcome back to the lineup Jose Ramirez tonight. Missed the last 3 games with a sore wrist. Having a great year. We talked about Jonathan Scope and the season he's having the Orioles for the Orioles, and Jose Ramirez having a similar kind of year for the Indians. 25 homers, 47 doubles. Weakly hit ground ball to the right side, but it will produce a run as the Indians take an early 1-0 lead. Well, we mentioned in the 17-game winning streak that the Indians are on right now, they've scored first in 16 of those 17 games. The only exception yesterday, they score first again tonight. So 17 out of 18, Terry Francona's team has scored the first run of the game. That's remarkable.
I mean, you really can, I mean, obviously in a 17-game win streak, you cannot undersell just how dominant they've been throughout this streak, though. One of the great streaks in the history of the game when you consider how much they've dominated the opponent.
My favorite stat along those lines, guys, during this streak, they've hit 35 home runs as a team, and they've allowed a total of 30 runs. So they have more home runs as a team than runs allowed.
There's a big reason why. The DH Edwin Encarnacion in his first year in Cleveland. Another big power year for Encarnacion, who got off to a slow start in his first month in Cleveland. Hit just 200 in April, and he at times has been a slow starter in his career, but he has really come on of late. He's got 13 home runs in his last 125 at-bats and 34 home runs on the season.
And you know, the perfect addition and the perfect complement in this lineup. A lot of left-handed hitters, a lot of switch hitters. To have that true thumper power presence in the middle in Encarnacion just balances out what is an outstanding offense.
Friday night, it was Encarnacion who gave the Indians an early lead in the first inning. Wade Miley was on the mound, and a 3-run shot. 428 feet straight away center field. The Indians went on to win 5-0. As we mentioned, hot lately, a real thumper, one of the most consistent power hitters in the game in recent years. And he chases away. Hellickson strikes him out for out number 2.
A good job again. What looked like a changeup, almost like it had a little cut action on it. And that ball just disappears down and away, and Encarnacion expanding that strike zone with a runner in scoring position. Hellickson gets a big second out.
So now Jay Bruce. Well, the runner at second, 2 down and a run in. Bruce picked up from the Mets on August the 9th. One of the other really remarkable things about this Indian streak is that they've dealt with injuries through this streak as well. And one of the reasons, and this goes back prior to the streak, but one of the reasons why Bruce was acquired, Chisenhall was on the DL with a calf injury. Brantley's on the DL with an ankle injury. They were a little bit thin in the outfield, so they pick up Bruce. And he's just kind of been Jay Bruce since he got here. He just keeps doing his thing. 4 homers and 15 RBIs in 23 games with Cleveland.
And in a great position behind Encarnacion, where he's at in this lineup. It was probably, and they didn't have holes by any means, but to be able to put another thumper behind the big dog, and Jay Bruce has been able to fill that.
Well, how about being able to go out and add a 33 homer guy?
Right.
When a couple guys go down after the original trade deadline.
Yeah.
It just shows you the market for sluggers is, you know, it became very much a buyer's market. So to be able to add a Jay Bruce when guys went down, huge, and a tip of the cap to Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff.
Michael Brantley hoping to get back from the ankle injury. He's hitting, but he's not able to run much right now. And obviously they're running out of time, about 3 weeks. So the postseason begins for the Indians. They hope to get Brantley back, but man, have they played well in his absence. They get a run here in the first and have an early 1-0 lead. Goodyear covering the bases with tires for superior performance all season long. Goodyear, more driven. Top of the second in Cleveland. Dan Shulman, Jessica Mendoza, Aaron Boone, Buster Olney. And it feels like autumn. It's getting a little bit chilly here. And the Indians, well, they played deep into last October. Actually into early November, I guess, if memory serves, right? Didn't it end up in November? They got all the way to the 7th game of the World Series before falling to the Cubs, and they've got a great team that is headed to a division championship and another trip into the postseason this coming year. Here's Trey Mancini having an outstanding rookie year for the Orioles, a first baseman turned left fielder. He bounces one to third and is retired for the first out. In a normal year, a guy like Mancini or Andrew Benintendi might take home a Rookie of the Year honor, but that's not happening this year. Aaron Judge hit 2 more this year. Today rather. He's now got 41 home runs.
I mean, Aaron Judge isn't still in that MVP conversation, let alone Rookie of the Year. Incredible year that he's having.
Here's Chris Davis. Been a tough year for Davis, hitting just .219, striking out at a very high clip, which he normally does to a certain extent, but when he backs it up with 40, 45, even 50+ home runs, which he's done once. But this year, the .219, 23 homers. He and Mark Trumbo hitting behind him. Both big power guys, but both struggling to make contact as consistently as they would like to. It's still a dangerous lineup with a ton of power top to bottom.
And with Bauer struggling a little bit with his command right now, and certainly struggling to find the feel of that breaking ball, this is not a team, the Orioles, that are a real patient club. Even their best hitters are not guys that walk, or not guys that work the count. So this is one of those situations where you'd really like Trevor Bauer to throw a lot of pitches, make him work, make him come into the strike zone and find that curveball. We'll see if the Orioles can show that discipline tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned they don't walk very much. They don't have much speed. They're last in baseball in stolen bases. Line to left field, but playable for Chisenhall, 2 down. Here's what's coming up this week on ESPN. Got a doubleheader for you on a Wednesday night. The Oakland A's taking on the American League East Division leading Boston Red Sox. Then it'll be the Dodgers and the Giants on Wednesday night in the late game. And 1 week from tonight, we will have the Dodgers and the Washington Nationals. If you missed it earlier today, the Dodgers lost again. They were beaten soundly by Colorado today, 8-1. Guys, how does a team that was 91-36 lose 15 out of 16 games since? What's going on?
It's unbelievable. It's gone off a cliff in every way. The starting pitching, the offense. Corey Seager was down for a little bit, even though he's back.
Yeah, what stood out to me the most has been the pitching.
Yeah.
And that's, the Dodgers had so many things going right, just like the Indians do right now. But it's been, I mean, Rich Hill today, Clayton Kershaw's last start, Yu Darvish. I mean, across the board, a team that could flat out pitch. Even their bullpen has struggled. And I think besides the run production, it's been on the mound that surprised me the most.
I will say, though, I don't think it's the end of the world. To have a team that was cruising so much like they were, to have a little adversity at this point in the season, if they can right the ship and get it rolling again, I think could potentially serve them well in the postseason, having for the first time gone through a little punch in the mouth.
Pretty good punch in the mouth. 15 out of, like, 5 out of 6 is one thing. 15 out of 16 is a whole different story.
And I live in LA. People are freaking out right now just because this is something that the Dodgers have had happen. As you get to the end of the season into the postseason, this is a World Series bound caliber team. You look at the numbers, the first 120, I mean, unbelievable too, what they were able to do, 91-36.
Trumbo with a bouncing ball to Ramirez at second, and that's the inning. Bauer gets the Orioles in order. brought to you by Quicken Loans, and the Indians have to be a bunch of confident players right now, having won a franchise record 17 straight games. As we mentioned, the longest in baseball in 15 years, dominating opponents. They've outscored them by 88 runs in those 17 games, scoring almost 7 a game, and with a collective team ERA below 2. If you're wondering what the longest winning streak ever in baseball is, it's 26 wins in a row by the 1916 New York Giants. Now, those Giants did tie a game during that streak, but for streak purposes, baseball doesn't look as a tie as being something that would get in the middle of a winning streak. So 26 is the record. The crazy thing is the Giants that year also had a winning streak of 17 in a row and finished in 4th place. They went 86 and 66, and that's with a 26-game winning streak and a 17-game winning streak. But what these Indians have done, this is the second longest streak going back like over 60 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting into pretty rare air here.
And the way they've done it.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing to like squeak out a couple one-run wins, or they've dominated flat out everything. They don't strike out. Their pitchers strike everybody out.
Carlos Santana skies a fly ball to medium depth right for out number 1. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Midas. For brakes, tires, oil, everything, trust the Midas touch. And Liberty Mutual Insurance. Liberty stands with you. It says it's 64 degrees. Doesn't feel like 64 degrees.
There's some wind. That always changes it.
It feels like October. There's Yandy Diaz.
And how fun just downtown Cleveland right now. I mean, you mentioned the Browns game, so you got, you know, NFL season kicking off, but then just the feeling of Cleveland fans walking around, the excitement. I just felt like this whole weekend, there's something October about it.
Diaz with a fly ball that's taken Smith back to the corner, and he'll make the catch. Fine running catch into foul territory by Seth Smith.
There's so many factors, Seth Smith, especially when you're at an away park that maybe you don't understand, and for him to be able to make this travel as far as he did to get this, but then know where he's at on the field. See him glance down to be able to see exactly where the wall is, because there's not a lot of room. We're talking 5 to 6 feet before he slams into that wall. He's able to feel, know where he's at, get to the spot, make the grab.
Diaz retired for the second out, and now the hitter is rookie center fielder Bradley Zimmer, hitting .243, 8 home runs. Zimmer, a guy who is playing some terrific defense out in center for the Indians, and also runs very well. 18 steals, has only been caught once. First round pick in 2014 out of the University of San Francisco, and another guy who, when the Indians have somebody go down, say in this case Michael Brantley, they find a guy, the Yandy Diaz and the Bradley Zimmer and the Giovanni Urshela. Everybody that they're bringing up out of necessity is contributing.
And for the most part, it's a lot of outstanding defenders. And when you have a great pitching staff, and now you can back it up with outstanding defenders, man, you're in for some real clean, quality baseball, and that's what's going on here.
Jammed him at a pop-up in foul territory, and that's a 3-out, 3-down inning for Hellickson here in the second. 1-0 Cleveland at the end of 2. Jessica Mendoza with an interview with Francisco Lindor when we come back. Top of the third, Francisco Lindor, one of the most dynamic young talents in the game. Let's learn a little bit more about him. It's time now for Unlimited Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile.
Francisco, it's been a special few weeks. 17 straight games, the streak. What stood out the most to you?
That it's not one specific guy. It's been someone different day in and day out. Yeah, you have the Brewers, the Ramirez, and Francona that are doing what they do day in and day out, Kluber as well. But it's just someone different. Every time you kind of put someone in the lineup, they'll find a way of helping us win, and that's what makes it fun. You know, that's a real team right there.
And when you growing up, I feel like such a unique thing. Your dad, Miguel, like love his style, what he would do with you, the 3-2 count games that he would constantly challenge you with, the KRES, which is what would you do? He'd throw it out there all the time. What would you do in this situation? That. Even the rubber ball drill, like getting your hands the way they are. How much has he influenced?
A lot. My dad's been my foundation. He's my core of my baseball. You know, he taught me a lot, and to this day he still talks to me about baseball, and he still tries to teach me, and he still reminds me constantly of things I got to do and things I can't do. He's awesome. He's my dad. I love him. I'm glad he's my dad. You have BC on your glove. Yes. Stands for be consistent. You also have a red ribbon for your sister Legna as well. How important is that message, and also a reminder of your sister? It's very important. Be consistent is something that every baseball player tries to do. They try to be very consistent on a daily basis. They do the same thing. My dad always, since day one, he told me to be consistent. Not only in the baseball field, but be consistent on and off the field with your sisters, with schoolwork, with everything you do in life. Just try to be as consistent as possible, and we'll see where it takes you. Before Game 7, the World Series last year, you find out that your sister's cancer-free. How did that help with the perspective? Probably one of the hardest games you played in. Yes. I definitely, on the way to the field, I found out about it. It was one of those things I was like, God, I mean, I want to win today, but if I don't win, I already have a victory. We won today. You know, I'm keeping my sister for that day longer. That's might sound a little selfish, but to me, I was happy. I was happy because I got to where I am today with the help of my sisters, my family. That Game 7 of the World Series, it goes 10 innings. As a team, how much is that still in the back of your minds? It's still in my mind for sure. It's still in my heart. I haven't watched a game of the World Series. Still? No, not even at bat. I feel like it's something that I'm still hurt about it, and I'll get over it eventually one day. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Well, you can imagine when you go into extra innings in Game 7 of the World Series and come up on the losing end, that's got to be in the back of your mind. That's got to be fueling you to take it one step further the next year. Well, and his honesty. I mean, I think a lot of guys might say, you know what, you put it behind you. The past is the past. You move on. But the reality is, we all know anyone who's played anything, lost anything, it drives you. And for him to say that that's a motivator, and the fact he even mentioned Chapman. He said when we faced the Yankees, he's like, we always pull up film. I refused to watch the film when he threw to us. Of course, he was the Cubs at the World Series. I said, give me at-bats, anything but those at-bats, because I don't want to see anything from the World Series last year.
It's just a little peek into, you know, what a neat guy he is. And I think this Cleveland Indian culture is one of the great ones in the sport. Even Buck Showalter was kind of marveling at it and so impressed by it just looking from across the diamond, and Francisco Lindor is one of the faces of that great culture they've created here. He's singing out there right now, looks like. And this is why he should be one of the faces of the sport. Not only is he a remarkable young talent, but he plays the game with such joy.
And even we were talking about the drills, okay, that his dad, Miguel, did with him. So this hill drill with rubber balls, so his dad would stand up on the top of the hill, and Francisco Lindor would be down there with the bottom and hit rubber balls. So you've all seen those crazy rubber balls and go any direction. If it got by him, he had to go run 200 yards to go get where the ball would end up and sprint back. So he said, I became the best defender I could possibly be. But just unique stuff like that, you know, the quejarías, like asking, they'd be in a car, TV, whatever, say, what would you do right now? Situation, throw it out randomly. They'd be driving to school. Hey, Francisco, all right, runner at second base. What would you do in this situation? He said till this day he still sits in the dugout and plays that game in his head.
The 2-2 to Seth Smith, and he hits it hard to right field, but Bruce is there, 2 down. You talk about guys putting on their game face. This is just a few minutes. This is like 5-10 minutes before the game, and he's spending time with some kids who got to dress up in the mascot uniform, run around on the field. And this wasn't a 30-second deal. He was with them for a while.
And look at that smile. Like, I mean, that's, to me, it's like it just exudes out of him. Not just a love for baseball, a love for life, but fans. Like, he appreciates, he gets it. And yes, there's a lot of players out there that you can talk about and things that they can do, but he just gets the entire picture and really should be the poster child of what a baseball player should be.
Meanwhile, 2 down in the inning as Bauer struck out Castillo, and then Smith with the fly ball to right. Now back to the top of the order for the shortstop for the Orioles, Tim Beckham.
And Bauer an out away from getting through his 3rd inning and really doesn't have his command at all, especially still with that breaking ball.
I even just love watching the way that Trevor Bauer throws. You know, his mechanics. There's so many things there that you can kind of dissect, hone in on.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? In the mid-2000s, when Zach Greinke first came to the big leagues, I was playing in Cleveland. He was in Kansas City. And when he first came up, he wasn't good yet, but you kind of knew, like, wow, if this guy ever figures it out, he's going to be amazing. It was almost like he didn't know his strengths yet. He didn't really know how to rein in all his talents because he could do so much on the mound. Well, he eventually figured it out, I'd say, and has become one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And I think
and he's got a quirkiness to him, too.
Absolutely. In a similar way, I think Bauer potentially is on that track. There's no denying the talent.
Bruce racing back, going to be over his head, and it'll skip up into the seats. A ground rule double for Beckham.
Well, this is what Beckham has done so well this year. We've talked about the power, 20 home runs on the season, but it's using the entire field and using that good opposite field power. We've seen it on display all season long. He does a good job of covering the outer half and laying off the pitches on the inside corner usually. This ball's in, but on the inner half, and he just kind of stays inside that ball and gets the barrel to it and rides it out over Jay Bruce's head and up into the stands.
So, guys, 38 games as an Oriole. He now has 57 hits, 21 of them for extra bases. And this is a guy who has been a solid player for Tampa Bay, but is it as simple as a change of scenery? A former 1st overall pick moving to a new situation, maybe placed into a different role, different expectations. And we talked about Bauer for Beckham, just a case of letting his talent come out.
You can't ignore that that's a factor. I mean, 1st overall pick. I mean, really think about that in the 10 years of having that over your head and never quite ever getting where your potential is supposed to be, and you remove him from that situation. You take him out of Tampa Bay and you give him a no expectation. Really, no one was even talking about Tim Beckham going to the Orioles, just more the fact that the Orioles were buying people instead of selling.
Yeah, but I would say even more than that. In a way, it's you were the first pick. You were in this organization that was expecting something, and now all of a sudden they sort of gave up on you. They kind of said, it's not going to happen anymore here. You go to Baltimore, maybe in some way it's a little bit of a wake-up call, a refocus situation, and he's taken off as an Oriole. A good 95 miles an hour fastball up in the zone. Again, he has not shown he can command that breaking ball yet. If the Orioles can continue to lay off that, they've got to dial it up a little bit more and respect the velocity of the heater.
1-2 on Manny Machado. Had an infield hit his first time up. Fights off a fastball away. On July the 6th, Manny Machado was hitting .215. He's hitting .345 since. Player of the month in the American League in August. Curveball, and can't find the strike zone with it, and can't get a chase.
And that's what's crazy right now, is that he's able to control these at-bats in a way with only utilizing his fastball. I mean, his secondary pitches, especially that curveball, and you can see his frustration right now talking to his catcher, Roberto Perez, but that's a pitch that's gone up in usage and been a big one for him. That's a scary proposition, though, when you're going up against this Orioles team that up and down the lineup can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And if eventually you can't show at least some command with that breaking ball, it would stand to figure that they will eventually take advantage of this.
And a dangerous hitter on deck in Jonathan Scope. 32 home runs at the plate, 31 home runs on deck. The 2-2. And the slider misses down and away, a full count.
I think if you're Machado here, you know what you're getting. I think it's sell out for that fastball. He'll probably cut loose with his best one, maybe at the top of the zone, maybe in on the hands. Wow. Curveball, and it was maybe only the second one he's thrown for a strike. As we take a look at StatCast powered by AWS. Last season 19% with that curveball. This season up to 30%. It's been part of the reason he's had so much success, because it's become such a great pitch for him. But so far tonight, still trying to find the command of it.
Again, the 3-2, and a fastball swung on and missed to get him. 96 miles an hour. Machado looking out at Bauer and smiling, nodding his head a little bit, saying, yeah, you got me. Not many have recently, but Bauer did right there. And 17 wins in a row coming into the game tonight. They've got a 1-0 lead on Baltimore. Got a run at the bottom of the first on an RBI ground out by Jose Ramirez that cashed in Francisco Lindor. Number 9 hitter Roberto Perez, the catcher, leads off the inning. And looks at a breaking ball in for a strike from Jeremy Hellickson. Perez then back to the top of the order for Lindor and Chisenhall here in the third for Cleveland. Is that guy saying Roberto Perez should be the MVP?
Well, he's certainly chanting it.
Yeah.
He's Bauer's MVP.
That's Mr. Perez.
Perez hitting .214, 4 home runs. Has thrown out 40% of opposing base stealers this year. He and Yan Gomes forming the tandem behind the plate for Cleveland.
There's Yan Gomes in the middle there, surrounded by Josh Tomlin and Jason Kipnis. Kipnis working his way back, getting closer and closer to joining the lineup here before the season ends, they think.
And a check swing Tapper back to the mound for out number 1. Well, the NFL got underway in earnest today after the opener on Thursday, and our annual Week 1 Monday Night Football doubleheader comes your way tomorrow night on ESPN and on ESPN2 in Spanish, with Drew Brees and the Saints taking on Sam Bradford and the Vikings, 6:55 p.m. Eastern Time. The second game at 10:15, the Broncos host the Los Angeles Chargers.
Run away.
It's got an interesting
The Los
sound
Angeles.
to it. Beth Moen's on that call. Pumped to hear her Monday Night Football debut.
Here's Lindor. Doubled and scored in the first, the only run of the game. And a changeup from Hellickson misses down and away. He falls behind 2-0. 28th home run of the season yesterday for Lindor. He's got more home runs than any other shortstop in baseball this year. High in the air to left field. And a Mancini drifting back makes the catch for out number 2. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN is presented by Taco Bell. They're the hottest team going. They're the hottest team that's been going in a long time. The Indians, winners of 17 in a row, hosting the Orioles and leading 1-0 here at the bottom of the third. Terry Francona on the left, bench coach Brad Mills on the right. They've been a duo for many, many years in various spots, close friends, and work together extremely well. And for Tito and company, boy, you just gotta ride the wave. Terry was asked before the game in our meeting with him, "Are you superstitious?" And he said, "No, but my calf's been bugging me a little bit lately. So a couple of days ago, I put some new shoes on, and a couple of the players came up to me and said, 'Are you crazy, man? What are you doing changing your shoes in the middle of a winning streak?' So he had to go back to the other shoes, even though his calf was sore."
It surprises me he's not superstitious. He just seems like somebody, because he's got so many stories, so funny with all the gum and the seeds, and I think there's some superstition in there. He just doesn't even realize it.
Yeah, he said, "No, I'm a routine guy. I'm not a superstitious guy." That seems like kind of a little murky gray area there. But when you talk about a guy who was born to do what he is doing, he's that guy. Down to third to Machado, and that's the inning as the Indians go in order. That's 9 in a row now set down by Jeremy Hellickson. The top of the fourth here at Progressive Field. Between innings, our Buster only had a chance to visit with Orioles manager Buck Showalter.
Buck, Jeremy Hellickson off to a great start tonight. What are you seeing in him?
No, good. They hadn't seen much of him. Strange the guys pitched the American League that much. A little ambush with a changeup, hopefully. They found a spot with a pop-up and a kind of a slicer went down the line, but we're still engaged in it. Another good pitcher they're running out there against us.
Manny Machado, 2 great months. What's been different in those 2 months versus the beginning of the season?
Talent. Can't hide it. You know, sooner or later, the baseball gods were kind to him. I think he was close to the league lead in hard hit outs, and you trust, pretty easy to trust a guy with his skills. He never gave in, never took it out to the field with him, and it's only going to help him as his career goes forward to reach back for those times. And it's been remarkable to see him climb where he is with a chance to have as good a statistical year as he's ever had. Really proud of him.
Buck, thanks.
Interesting comment Buck Showalter made right there, and he made a similar one to us when we were talking to him about Machado before the game. It'll help him going forward to reach back for those times that he went through. You're hitting the ball hard, but it's finding gloves. Your numbers aren't where they should be. Just trust your talent, and I guess, you know, a little adversity can serve somebody well going forward.
Well, especially because when you look at the numbers when he was struggling, it wasn't like a ton of swing and misses, you know, chasing a whole lot. It really was his batting average and balls in play. And what that translates to is he just wasn't having the same. He was still hitting the ball hard, getting a lot of balls caught. Literally 130 points difference between the first half and the second half of what he's been able to get through for hits that were getting caught earlier in the season. And that's the stuff that mentally can just wear you down when you are making contact, having good at bats, and the results don't show for it.
Yeah, when you're scuffling, it can be demoralizing.
And Scope lines one hard into center field, a solid base hit. Jonathan Scope is 2 for 2.
And when you're hitting the ball at people and quote unquote unlucky, you can kind of start to sulk a little bit and just chalk it up to one of those years. Manny Machado never did that, and I think part of that is because he knows just how great he is and his talent, and knowing eventually that was going to shine through, which it most certainly has.
What he's done the last couple of months, a big reason why the Orioles are still in contention. And again, it's kind of a different kind of year, especially in the American League. You can be a 500 team, which the Orioles are, 71 and 71, and you're 2.5 out of a playoff spot because there are so many teams bunched so tightly together in the wild card race.
There's that curveball from Bauer, just his 15th curveball that he's thrown, just his 4th for a strike. All 3 prior to that were strikes to Machado. That one, even though it ended up out of the zone, he gets the swing and miss. That's the first one that he's kind of started in the zone and finished out of the zone, at least at giving it the appearance of a strike.
Adam Jones lifts the ball high in the air to left field. 1 down. Well, we talked a lot about the Indians and their winning streak. They're headed to October. We all know that. But for the Orioles, who knows what will be. The Yankees won today 16-7. Aaron Judge 2 homers, Gary Sanchez 2 homers. The Yankees with a bit of a cushion now. The Twins lost, so they're just a game ahead of the Angels, who beat Seattle. Then you got Baltimore, Texas, and Kansas City all at the 500 mark, and all just 2.5 games out with 3 weeks left in the regular season.
Well, if you're into the schedule at this time of the year, which I certainly like to look at, especially when I'm looking at 500 teams trying to claim a final spot, it does seem like the Twins have the most favorable schedule going forward, which is why I still like them to claim that second wild card spot.
There's a ball hit hard and deep, but foul down the left field line by Trey Mancini, and that ball was crushed. Major League Baseball wants to see your best plays this summer from the backyard or the diamond. Show us what you've got on social with hashtag MLB The Play, and we'll feature some of the best the rest of the season. Mancini grounded out his first time up. Trevor Bauer on the mound for the Indians tonight. Swing and a miss at a high fastball, 1 and 2. He's had success tonight elevating that fastball.
Yep, and perhaps in his last few batters starting to find the command of the breaking ball. Though he hung one to Mancini, a strike, and then the ability to back it up with that high fastball in the mid-90s has had these free swingers chasing it.
And now went after the curveball in the dirt. 2 down.
We saw the swing and miss on the high fastball to set up that curveball for the strikeout. And Trevor Bauer getting fired up as he gets the glove back. But this has been his success so far against these Orioles hitters, utilizing that fastball at the top of the strike zone to be able to get strikes, swing and misses. And even when his curveball wasn't working, but it was the bat to Machado, his best curveball of the night. Before that, he comes back as you see Machado smiling at the reaction that Bauer had. Comes back with the fastball, and even though it was middle, right now starting to get in a groove, especially once he gets that curveball working.
Yeah, maybe starting to lock in a little bit more with the curveball as he drops one in for a strike to Chris Davis. And another one, 0-2.
What I think he's showing you right now is pitchability. Zero feel for that breaking ball the first several hitters of this game. Now starting to find it. As we look at another good one that he flips in here for strike 2 from behind home plate. Maybe now that high fastball or a chase now with the breaking ball down.
He got him. 3 curveballs in a row to strike out Davis. 4 strikeouts on the night. Bauer's locking in. Bottom 4, 1-0 Indians. And Jose Ramirez will look at a strike from Jeremy Hellickson. Ramirez driving in the only run of the night on a ground out back in the first. Lindor double. Chisenhall with a bloop single to send Lindor to third, and then the ground out by Ramirez driving in Lindor. Ramirez last Sunday had a 5-for-5 game with 3 doubles and 2 homers. He had a stretch in June where he had 14 extra base hits in 7 games. One hopper back to the mound, and 10 in a row now set down by Hellickson. His OPS is up about 100 points from last season, leads the majors in doubles, leads the American League in extra base hits. If he's not a household name, he should be. He was good last year. He's been outstanding this year.
Well, Jess touched on it a little bit early on. The versatility and the defensive versatility he has. The ability to play third. A Gold Glove caliber defender when he does move over to second. And what a year. And you know, what a value to have that kind of versatility. It just opens up the landscape of what you need to go out and get if you're a team. When you have a guy of that versatility, you don't have to go out and, if you have a need, oh, I need a third baseman or I need this, you can go get the best available because you have guys like Jose Ramirez that you can move to an open spot.
He's a natural second baseman, but he was playing third because of Kipnis. Kipnis gets hurt. They move him back to second.
Much like Ben Zobrist has been in his career, and obviously how important he was to the Cubs World Championship a year ago or to the Royals World Championship. When you can kind of just look at your roster and play matchups day in and day out because you have a guy like Ramirez and his versatility that you can say, all right, let's play him here today to get X into the game.
But that carries into his offense. I mean, what he does as a switch hitter, he's the only switch hitter in baseball hitting 300 from both sides of the plate. So think about that when you think about versatility and matchups and who they're facing, lefty, righty. He's the guy that can handle both with the glove and with the bat.
Plays some outfield as well as Encarnacion takes just outside 2-2. And he's 24. Out of play. So with all that having been said, is Jose Ramirez an MVP candidate? Let's go down to Buster.
Yeah, guys, the poll question for this week: who is the American League MVP? The candidates: Jose Altuve, Aaron Judge, Manny Machado, Jose Ramirez, Jonathan Scope, Andrelton Simmons, and Mike Trout. And we had about 45,000 votes for this. The winner we'll show you after the pitch.
Oh, well done, Buster.
That's a tease in the business.
High fly ball to right field. Just shy of the track, 2 down. Go get him, Buster.
And America voted, and the winner, Jose Altuve, 36%. Jose Ramirez, a strong showing at 29%. But look, I agree with what Tim Kirchin said on Baseball Tonight, that this thing, to a degree, is still wide open, that an incredible finish from a Trout, from Jose Ramirez, maybe down the stretch here. Let's say the Orioles made the postseason on Jonathan Scope's back. I think that could be difference making. It's that close.
Mike Trout hit another home run today, his 28th. Missed about, what, 5 or 6 weeks with the injury and still has had a phenomenal season. And he can help the Angels get into the postseason. Mike Trout in 5 years has never finished worse than second for MVP.
I got a stat for you guys on Trout. 96 games this year. He's reached base 198 times. Wow. 96 games.
198?
198 times.
That's just crazy.
You know, the guy on that list that a lot of people might be saying, wow, I didn't expect to see him on that list, is Andrelton Simmons, who is as, and we've got Machado here and Lindor, great defensive players. Simmons, another one, just as good a defensive player as there is in baseball. And Simmons having by far his best offensive season.
He's that sneaky guy because you think about the glove, and his offense has been everything, especially if you're thinking MVP on a team with Mike Trout and what he was able to do when Trout was out for those Angels to keep him in contention.
I think it's going to take an extraordinary finish by a Trout, by a Ramirez,
Judge,
somebody to have a chance to catch Altuve. I think there's at least, he's got a significant lead right now. 351 average, 31 bags on to this point, even though they're tied now with the Indians with the best record. I think it's Jose Altuve's to lose, or perhaps a great finish to chase him down.
Any chance a Kluber or a Sale can get in this conversation?
I don't think so.
I don't think this year either. I agree with that.
Wow, that's a tough pitch to take right there. That changeup that missed about an inch or two below the knees.
I think that race is closer than the MVP race, the Cy Young. Coming down to Kluber and Sale. Truly, who finishes stronger wins the award.
Especially because there's a fewer amount of games that we'll see them in.
How about that? Talk about hitting one into the shift. Bruce denied a base hit. because of where Scope was positioned. Still 1-0 Indians. For the Cleveland Indians. They get a 1-0 lead on to Baltimore tonight. Between innings, Buster Olney with Indians manager Terry Francona.
Terry, you've had 17 years as a manager, 10 years as a player, a lifetime in baseball. How would you compare, how would you describe what you guys have been doing here over the last 17 games?
Well, fun. I mean, I have a good time anyway, but I mean, it's been productive. Other than that, I don't think we want to get too carried away. But I mean, you show up to win, and our guys have done a really good job of that.
How'd you feel Trevor Bauer did working through that early command issues with his breaking ball?
Yeah, I mean, the pitch count for him is not an issue. Maybe it's more for us. He just had so many deep counts, but he got through it. And unlike a lot of pitchers, he doesn't care that it's 70 pitches or whatever. Once he starts missing bats, he feels a lot better about himself.
Terry, thanks.
See you later.
Well, 73 pitches after his first pitch of the 5th, but as Tito said, as Aaron mentioned a little bit earlier, Bauer loves to pitch, and he's one guy sometimes they ignore the pitch count. Not that anybody ever ignores it totally, but they let it slide a little bit more because he's young and they feel his workout regimen has kept him strong, and he's maintaining his stuff deeper into the season this year. And they'll let him get up above that magic 100 mark a little bit further and a little bit more often than most pitchers.
He also has a really efficient pitching style with that arm path. I mean, he doesn't get super long. He's able to kind of repeat that delivery. And so when you think about what he does over and over and over again, when pitch counts are usually a concern, Trevor Bauer is special in that he kind of just gets straight into it, super efficient, and gets the ball to home plate.
Curveball bounced to third. Diaz up with it, and Trumbo's retired. Play Ball is MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, and making opportunities available and fun for everyone. To learn more, go to playball.org. A little bit chilly, but never too cold for some ice cream at the ballpark. 1-0 Indians lead at the Orioles here in the 5th. Cleveland trying to extend the winning streak to 18. And here's Wellington Castillo. You know, we mentioned Bauer, and we alluded to Corey Kluber last half inning in talking about some postseason awards. The Cleveland rotation has been phenomenal. And Corey Kluber's right there with Chris Sale, neck and neck probably for the American League Cy Young Award. And Kluber looking every bit as good as he did in his Cy Young year, as he did last year in the postseason. But Carlos Carrasco, a very talented starting pitcher. Mike Clevenger is having a very good year. Get to know that name. Look up his numbers. It's not just the hair. It's not just the funky herky-jerky motion. He's a a good pitcher. And Josh Tomlin, whose overall numbers aren't really strong, but his last 5-6 starts have been terrific.
I mean, even against this Orioles offense last night, Josh Tomlin and what he was able to do, and just kind of being a contact guy too, which against a team that hits a lot of home runs usually fear that, but had a great start yesterday to continue the streak.
Curveball, swing and a miss. Castillo down on strikes.
And now all of a sudden Trevor Bauer is dealing, and I think just showing you what a mature pitcher he's come. Simply did not have it the first 3 innings, kind of feeling his way, fighting his way, and last inning all of a sudden discovered that breaking ball. It's been on display again this inning, and now he's really starting to roll, and shows you just what a role he's been on over the last 10 starts.
A lot of deep counts, especially early. That's why when you've got a line like that, he's still at 80 pitches already. There's Seth Smith.
But you know, getting back to the rotation, Dan, remember this team went to Game 7 of the World Series last year, basically with their starting rotation behind Corey Kluber, who was tremendous in the postseason, decimated. You know, Carlos Carrasco out. Salazar not a factor. Tomlin pitched and did okay. Clevenger was still kind of a bullpen piece.
Bauer had the situation with the drone, had to come out of the first inning against Toronto, and
Ryan Merritt stepping into the rotation for that big start against Toronto.
They just kind of figured it out and pieced it together behind Kluber and relied on
their bullpen,
their outstanding bullpen anchored by Andrew Miller, who they expect back now here in the next week or two.
On paper, which is always a dangerous thing to say, their rotation right now is better than the rotation they took into the postseason last year, like leaps and bounds. Right.
Yeah.
And with Houston not playing well lately, they got beat again today by Oakland. If the playoffs started right now, Cleveland would have the top spot in the American League. The Astros look like they were home and cooled out for best record in the American League. The Indians have overtaken them.
They were, I think, at some point in July, 14 games above the Indians, and now the Indians have chased them down. And, you know, Terry Francona was kind of indifferent to that home field advantage potentially, but I think there's quietly some people that would love to be at home and to face that team that's got to play that wild card game and perhaps use their best pitcher coming in to face Kluber in a Game 1 situation in Cleveland.
Josh Tomlin told me that about a week ago that the players began to talk about it. They began to notice the possibility because they had seen what Houston had been doing, and they absolutely wanted. And by the way, they own the tiebreaker against Houston. So if they finished in a tie in the standings with identical records, Cleveland would have the #1 seed in the American League.
Just like on the other side, you know, the players in the Nationals dugout or clubhouse have noticed they're only 4 games behind the Dodgers right now for the best record in the National
And
League.
they host them in D.C. next weekend. Of course, we'll be there for Sunday Night Baseball next week.
Did he go? Yes, he did. Perez has to find it. And does in time. Strikeout number 6 for Bauer, and this one will end the 5th inning. Provided by Goodyear, covering the bases with tires for superior performance all season long. Goodyear, more driven. To the bottom of the 5th in Cleveland, the Indians, winners of 17 in a row, with a 1-0 lead on the Orioles. The run coming back in the bottom of the 1st. Since then, since the first 2 batters reached, Jeremy Hellickson, the starter for Baltimore, has set down 12 in a row. He'll face Carlos Santana, the first baseman, the number 6 hitter in the Indians lineup. And just another guy who can hurt you. He's got 23 homers. He's walked 80 times. Another switch hitter. They've got 3 key guys in their lineup: Lindor, Ramirez, and Santana, who are all switch hitters. And as a result, they face, however you want to call it, say a platoon disadvantage, less often than any other team. And that means a left-handed batter facing a lefty or a right-handed batter facing a righty. The Indians only have that about 30% of the time. What team faces that disadvantage the most often? The Baltimore Orioles, because they're almost an exclusively right-hand hitting lineup.
And Buck Showalter talked about that before the game, just the platoon advantage that they have. And you know, with September baseball being what it is, and the expanded rosters and the deep bullpens, you know, there's less of that matching up you can do against the Indians because of those switch hitters.
How many seeds actually make it into Tito's mouth? I feel like he grabs a handful and maybe 3.
You know, it's like hitting. If you're a 300 hitter, you're doing pretty well. He's lucky to get 3 out of 10. Sharply hit off the body of Davis, and he'll make the play unassisted for the out. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN is presented by Taco Bell. Progressive Field in Cleveland.
I just got a note that StatCast has it at 27%.
Oh, really?
That Tito's been getting into his mouth this year.
You just got the note?
A little over 30% in the second half.
Powered by AWS as well.
Here's the significance of what the Indians have done coming into the game. 17 wins in a row. Oakland, remember that streak they had in 2002 when they won 20 in a row. This is the longest streak since that, and the longest streak ever, the 1916 New York Giants, who won 26 in a row. Yandy Diaz with a drive, straightaway center. Jones back and has room. And the wind might have kept that one in the ballpark. It's blowing in a bit here in Cleveland tonight.
No doubt about it. And on a cool night here in Cleveland with that wind blowing in, it definitely holds this ball up. Like an off-speed pitch of some kind that Diaz gets a nice piece of. Good job by Jones there, just kind of feeling where he is, kind of calmly bracing himself in front of the wall and turning it into an easy play for him out there in deep center field.
And Diaz flirting with the wall twice already in this game.
You know, he's a guy who's opened up some eyes. He hit .350 at AAA this year, and he's hitting about .350 since he was called up by the Indians. Now .340 actually, 17 for 50 since he was called up last month. Doesn't have a ton of power. They're going to have some tough decisions when they put together the playoff roster, because they have depth and they have options.
And that's another option that Jose Ramirez gives them, to be able to allow Diaz to be in the lineup, because then he can move to second base. Guys like Urshela doing the same, being able to show off his glove.
Well, Urshela, who's played a lot of third base, while Kipnis has been out, because he's an outstanding defender, has also, Tito started to flirt with playing him at second, maybe even getting him a start at first base to add to his versatility, which just...
Think about when Kipnis comes back.
Yeah.
Nice pick at first by Davis, and that's the inning. And that's 15 in a row set down by Hellickson. On the Baltimore Orioles, the Orioles hoping to win a game, make up some ground on somebody in the wild card race. Let's show you what some of the other wild card contenders did today. Tampa Bay was playing Boston today, and Wilson Ramos driving one out to center field at Fenway. And the Rays beat the Red Sox by a score of 4-1. Minnesota and Kansas City, the Twins currently in possession of the second wild card spot in the American League, but they were beaten today 11-3. That's a Brandon Moss home run. The Royals win easily over the Twins, so the Royals get back to the 500 mark. The Yankees pounded Texas today 16-7. Aaron Judge hit 2 home runs, numbers 40 and 41. Gary Sanchez hit 2 home runs, and the Yankees win big. And the Los Angeles Angels defeated Seattle 5-3 today. Game was tied at 2, and Justin Upton with a 2-run double into left center field to give the Angels the lead and eventually power them to a win. So the Twins continue to hold on to the second wild card spot, but their loss today has tightened things up.
Angels are coming.
Yeah, Angels picked up a game on them. The Royals picked up a game on them. And the Orioles hoping to pick up a game if they can win tonight. Yankees 3.5 up on the Twins. Twins 1 game up on the Angels, and then 5 other teams within 3.5.
Well, I know it's going to be a couple weeks, but we get the Angels in Houston September 24th, and I'm looking forward because I feel like the Angels are going to be right there, and that's going to be the time. Because right now it's still shuffle it up. We still got time. You really can't predict or know. By that time, it's going to have a lot more clear against a very good American League team.
Well, if the Angels get in, they've got probably the toughest road ahead of them. They play a lot of quality teams right now, a lot of games on the road. So they'll have really earned it. And for the Royals today, getting that win against the Twins, that's probably a win that they had to have if they were going to hang around.
And I know all of us as fans of the sport, we all hope for the same thing. That's mayhem down the stretch, and
yes,
and on somebody playing a 163.
Yep.
I feel like it's going to happen this year. I mean, just look at the American, all those teams. How does it not happen this year? I'm just putting that out there. Come on, 163. Let's do this. We get to do that game. It's fun. Night before, don't know where you're going.
Yeah, Booney, when you were talking about how the Twins have that advantage with the schedule down the stretch, I was like, wait a second, you're trying to apply logic to this race?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Come on.
I'm taking a page out of the Buster Olney book.
I know, right?
Buster's usually a big schedule guy, and I'm not. I kind of fight with him usually with that. In this case,
his influence.
2-3 weeks left. I think the schedule is a big deal.
Curveball, strike 3. Beckham, the 7th strikeout victim for Bauer.
And Trevor Bauer, I mean, first of all, it's how he's setting up the pitch with his fastball. But again, a pitch that he had no feel for. But look at where this pitch begins. It's out of that same window of his fastball. But then watch the depth. I mean, that's a pitch that almost looks like it's hanging. And you can tell by Tim Beckham, who, by the way, doubled his last at bat against Bauer. No chance.
There's Manny Machado. And Machado lines the ball hard to right field. It's carrying, and it's going to get over the head of Bruce. Machado slowed down for a bit and is still safe at second. He hesitated a little bit past first, trying to decide what he wanted to do, but still makes it into second base safely. Indians having a look.
Well, Machado, who got struck out with a similar fastball in his last at bat, shortens up his swing and kind of inside outs this ball in the inner half. Bruce barely can't get to it, but plays it perfectly off the wall. Bare hand, but a good job by Machado of sliding on the inside with that play in front of him, understanding he could see the ball. A good slide there to avoid that tag.
You see how he started to lean?
It's a great job.
He recognized where Lindor was. He's coming to the outside, but he starts to lean. Look at him lean with his body mid-air to change the direction, and he does miss the glove of Lindor to be safe at second base.
Yeah, and you could see by Lindor's reaction, he knew that Machado got in there.
Look at the ground he covers, though, where he begins. on the outside of the bag and then ends up on the inside.
Kind of surprised the Indians want to have a look at this one, but they are asking for a review. Because the glove doesn't touch him till there.
Yeah, guys, look
Unless
at the
we're
lacing.
missing something here.
Yeah, look at the lacing on Lindor's glove. It appears to touch him. Now, whether it hit him before he hit the bag, I don't know, but the lacing. Watch the lacing on Lindor's glove.
But if I'm not mistaken, remember, guys, we went into the replay center this year in New York and sat there and talked with the people who work at the replay center and deal with the umpires, and we asked about the laces. The laces are not considered to be part of the glove on attack.
You asked that. I remember.
I'm positive they told us that. I mean, there's no question his hand gets there before that, where the actual hard tag comes down on his leg. But the Indians obviously felt they saw something that would motivate them to ask for a challenge, to ask for a review.
I'm still just impressed with the athleticism of Machado on this slide. Look at where he starts to where he ends. To get out of the way of this tag.
But then also to be able to hold the bag. You know, a lot of times you'll see a guy alter his move like that, and he can't hold the bag. He's able to hold it.
And he is safe. Call is upheld, and that'll be a double for Manny Machado.
After replay review, the ruling on the field stands. Manny Machado is safe at second base for Baltimore.
Well, remember in the last at bat when he was overpowered by the fastball and kind of had a little bit of a laugh for Trevor Bauer, like, all right, keep trying that pitch, I'll get you. Well, he caught up to that one and got himself now into scoring position with a chance to tie this game.
Second hit of the game for Machado, 1-0 Cleveland, with the tying run at second with one down. And maybe Roberto Perez might have a little bit of an issue that they're tending to. Weekdays on ESPN 2 at 4 Eastern, it's Intentional Talk with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar. A 1-hour breakdown of baseball's playoff races and the hottest topics of the game. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. Here's Jonathan Schoop. He is 2 for 2 tonight. 2 hard hit balls, base hit to left, base hit to center. And it was interesting when Buster put up his poll earlier tonight. We had 7 players up there who should be the MVP of the American League. Schoop only got 4% of the vote. Jose Ramirez, who's having a great year, it's not taking anything away from Ramirez. He got 29%.
Well, that shows you
vote.
the fans of Cleveland coming out to vote. And their MLB, Dan, put out a poll very similar, but they only listed 3 guys. They had Judge, they had Trout, and they had Altuve, and then they had an other with a parentheses comment. Cleveland fans came in like crazy. The other vote, that other choice, got second behind Jose Altuve, and it was all everyone saying, where's Jose Ramirez?
And obviously the Indians, at least in Buster's poll, as this pitch will get away, that'll be a wild pitch on a Bauer. Machado will come to third. The Indians benefit in these kinds of things because they're a playoff team, and a lot of times people want their MVP to come from a playoff team. Now you could say Baltimore is a contending team, even though they're 500. They're in a race right now, but I just thought with 31 homers, 102 RBIs, 300 average, Schoop would get a little more attention than that.
And becoming an outstanding defender at second base in the middle of the diamond, obviously. We're going to start to know soon.
Infield is in for the Indians. Lindor was actually kind of back halfway, and he might stay a little bit deeper. He's now come into the edge of the grass, and we'll see where he winds up. Everybody else is in even with a bag.
And it'll be interesting to see how they attack Schoop here with the base open here, that infield in. I don't think you necessarily want to give in to Jonathan Schoop here, even with Jones on deck.
Curveball lined into left field. 3rd hit of the night for Schoop, and the Orioles have tied it.
Well, they go to the 3-1 breaking ball, but certainly not where Bauer wanted it. I think he wanted that down and away, probably wanted to get a chase or even willing to put him on base, but he hangs it. And Schoop does an outstanding job of, even though he's a little out in front, he's able to keep his hands back and keep that barrel in the hitting zone for a long time. He's out in front of this ball, But look how long he keeps that bat in the zone, and the ball jumps off his bat because he's able to barrel it up for the 3rd time tonight. And that outstanding season continues for Jonathan Schoop, who has put a stranglehold on that number 3 spot in this Orioles lineup as he ties this game.
Now Adam Jones. Jones tonight over 2 is grounded into a double play and hit a fly ball to left.
They have really attacked Adam Jones up in the strike zone with that fastball all night long. That's typically where teams will challenge him, to see if they can get him to chase up and out, but attack him up. Anything down with the fastball plays into Jones's strength.
Ground ball to 3rd, to 2nd one, and on to 1st. Double play. So Bauer finishes off the inning, but not before the Orioles tie the game. And presented by Taco Bell is brought to you by engines and generators from Kohler, in power since 1920. It's a 1-1 tie. The Orioles just tied it up with a run at the top of the 6th inning. And we go bottom 6. Jeremy Hellickson to face Roberto Perez, the number 9 hitter for the Indians. A great night for Jonathan Schoop. 3 for 3, just drove in the run. Perez grounding out in his only at bat tonight. Schoop with 3 terrific at bats, 3 solid base hits. Jonathan Schoop, by the way, if he maintains a 300 average, and he was at 301 coming in, and he's 3 for 3 tonight. He's already got 30 homers, 30 plus. He's already got 100 plus RBIs. If he maintains a 300 average, he'll become just the 7th second baseman ever to hit 300 with 30 plus homers and 100 or more RBIs. Rogers Hornsby 3 times. Jeff Kent twice. Ryne Sandberg, Chase Utley, Brett Boone.
Short Boone.
Short Boone, also known as Brett Boone. And Alfonso Soriano. I mean, Jonathan Schoop, by second baseman standards, is having an historic season. Like, this doesn't happen all the time.
No, and Buck Showalter believes it's about to become the norm for Jonathan Schoop, and has talked about him in the past. He's been telling me for a few years what a terrific player that he is and is going to become. And in the past, when he's moved Jonathan Schoop, you know, up from down, you know, hitting 7th, 8th, or 9th, tried to move him up in the order, he's kind of struggled with it. Maybe tried to become more than he is. This year, they finally moved him again up to that 3 hole, and he has ceased on it and become a real star player now in this league.
Jeremy Hellickson working on a stretch of 15 in a row retired since the first 2 batters he faced tonight reached base. A Lindor double and a Chisenhall single. Look at how low the pitch count is. He's only thrown 60 pitches right now as he works in the 6th inning.
The best start that we've seen with him in an Orioles uniform. He's someone that struggled, and basically since the month of April he had a really strong start, but has been part of the struggles that we've seen with the starting rotation for Baltimore. Not tonight.
Guys, in talking about Schoop, I think one of the fascinating questions of the Orioles offseason is, can they gain any traction in signing him to a long-term deal? Something they couldn't do with Manny Machado. Machado's a free agent after 2018. Schoop is certainly someone who might be worthwhile to build around moving into the future. At the end of this year, he'll have 4+ years of service time, free agency after 2019.
3-2 to Perez. And a fly ball hit a long way to left field. It's gone.
Well, they give up that lead, and like so often, they don't flinch and grab it right back. Francisco Lindor talked about with Jess, so many different people each and every night have played the hero role during this win streak. They get a mistake finally from Jeremy Hellickson, who's been outstanding. They want that fastball down the way. It runs back up and in, and Perez puts a charge in it for just his 5th home run of the year. Frankie Lindor loving it as Roberto Perez breaks this tie.
So Hellickson had set down to 15 in a row. The Orioles had just tied it, and that didn't last long at all. Cleveland back on top here in the bottom of the 6th. And some stirring down in the Orioles bullpen. Lindor 1 for 2. Buster mentioned this earlier. During the 17-game winning streak, so coming into the game tonight, the Indians have hit more home runs than they have allowed runs. Crazy stat. I think another one, they've only trailed after 4 innings in the 17-game winning streak. So 153 innings over the 17 games. They've only been behind after 4 of those innings. Tim Kirchin mentioned it on Baseball Tonight. Their run differential is +88 in the winning streak, 118 for, 30 against. I think he said only 8 teams have a run differential of +88 over the season, and the Indians have done it in 17 games. Two and 1 the count on Lindor. He got a center cut fastball right there, and he fouled it back 2-2.
Yeah, and the at-bats now are starting to get a little more comfortable against Jeremy Hellickson now as we go to the 3rd time through the order. 2-1 count. Wanted to come in with this fastball and leaves it right over the heart of the plate. Hellickson fortunate not only that that was a foul ball, but not a long ball, as Lindor was all over it.
First base umpire Chris Guccione Had to do some acrobatics to get out of the way of that ball. And Sandy Alomar says, like, was that foul? Guccione said, yeah, but he needed all of his athleticism just to avoid it.
And the fans are all over it.
Standing ovation.
So much fun in Cleveland right now. They're giving standing O's to the umpires.
It was a good move.
Yeah, it was.
Dove, a little roll.
That on the highlight reel, Gooch.
This ball was smoked. And look at him get out. I mean, just get out of the way.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. Is that not so Frankie, though?
Yeah.
Oh, taking a bow.
Three-two. Change up that he hooks down the right field line, but foul. Your breakout MLB season is on Nintendo Switch. RBI Baseball 2017 is filled with fast-paced pick-up-and-play MLB action packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and more. Get RBI Baseball today for Nintendo Switch. Learn more at rbigame.com.
Francisco Lindor on bat number 3 within this at bat. Broke his bat on the first pitch on a cutter, and there out in front of that changeup just a little bit. He's broken 2.
The third one's a charm. Launches it to deep right field for home run number 29.
Think about the pitches in this at bat too that he fouled off. He had a fastball early that you mentioned, broke his back cutter in, that he was able to foul off. He had a changeup that he almost got the umpire with, almost fouls one off, out 2, but then he gets 90, middle away. Look at him look at the dugout. Right away. He knows it. His bad boy's gone. He's smiling as the pitch is coming. He knows. And just within this at bat, him being able to work it and get to the point where we've seen the power, a career power year for Francisco Lindor. But that at bat alone shows you why.
I think you just started to see the comfort level. The third time through, there was just nothing Hellickson had to finish him off. He tried going in with the fastball. He was able to cover that. He tried the changeup, and eventually he made one more mistake, and Frankie crushed it. I wonder if that was his bat.
It was his bat.
It was?
It was his bat. He put it into the rotation, and everyone went absolutely crazy when he hit the home run. Not only happy for Lindor, they were all high-fiving Almonte in the dugout.
It was like home run derby-esque. Almonte runs the bat out to him, and Lindor delivers. All he needed was the towel and the Gatorade.
So back-to-back home runs here in the 6th for the Indians by Perez and Lindor. And there is activity now in the Baltimore bullpen for the first time tonight. Jimmy Yacobonis is up in the pen. 3-1 Cleveland, already on a 17-game winning streak. And I don't know if there's any team smiling and laughing more in baseball than these guys, and can you blame them?
Well, and Terry Francona told Buster perfectly, like one word to describe it. He's like, fun. I mean, they're just having so much fun. And of course they are. I mean, they're hitting, they're pitching, they're doing it all right, but they truly enjoy each other. I mean, shoot, grab your teammate's bat and hit a home run. What? I mean, what else?
1-2 to count on Lonnie Chisenhall.
And it was interesting watching Chisenhall right there. Almost like, I know changeup's coming. I've been out in front of it all night. He took a couple of steps in the box before Hellickson released that pitch.
But once he was already in his lineup.
And there it goes again. Like, I'm taking away the changeup. I'm selling out on it.
Yeah, but Hellickson and Castillo should be able to see that. He's done it twice in a row. Does that?
Well, once he starts into the pitch, though, he's kind of got to stop.
But I mean, now going forward.
Sure.
See if he does it again. The count now full. Here he goes again. Got jammed and lifts a fly ball to shallow center, and a nice running catch by Adam Jones.
Well, a good job all around here. First, Hellickson gets the cut fastball in on the hands, and then Jess, what a fine running catch by Jones. I didn't think he'd get there.
Well, it's the jump off the bat that Jones gets. So you see him jam the fastball up and in after moving in the box, but Jones gets a great jump, and this just shows too, that's a tough grab. You see a lot of center fielders dive for this because they're unable to make that kind of, have the flexibility, run full speed and make the grab at your ankles.
Yacobonis looks ready if they need him. Jose Ramirez is the batter now against Hellickson. Third time through the order. Ramirez 0 for 2, did drive and a run on a ground ball back in the first. It's a party atmosphere at the ballpark tonight. I mean, it sounds more like tailgating before a football game than it does a baseball game.
It's been like that all weekend, and that's, I think, the beauty of the Brown Stadium and this stadium being right in downtown. I mean, everybody walking around. There's just something in the air about the excitement and the streak.
Well, and that weather's starting to turn a little bit here, starting to feel like October, and this team, this fan base, so close, could taste it last year, and they know they're looking at a team very capable of getting back and taking it all this year.
Hit hard to right field. Ramirez retired, 2 down. Well, let's go back and give you one more look at one of the reasons why there's so much smiling and laughing in the dugout. Lindor breaks a couple of bats. Almonte says, here, take one of mine. Look at Lindor looking at it like, what is this?
What's the size? He's looking for the size. He's like, is this even the right?
What am I swinging here? Looks back at Almonte with a big smile on his face. And now they've officially made it his in the dugout.
That is great.
Yeah, I'd say they're having fun here.
So an assist for Almonte on the home run by Lindor.
I like that Almonte's got it just in case, with still the Lindor tape on the barrel.
Encarnacion is struck out and flied out. Shift on for the Orioles with 3 on the left side of the infield against the right-hand hitting and pull hitting Encarnacion. And now with an 0-2 count, it looks like Scope will make his way back over to the other side of the bag.
Good do you feel as a hitter when you grab a bat, you don't even know if it's the right weight or size? I mean, Booney, you know, like it makes a big deal if it's your size, your weight, your bat. And Francisco Lindor didn't even blink an eye, just checked it out. Sure, let's do this.
Two on the way. And Encarnacion out in front of that changeup, a little frustrated with himself.
So what's the protocol for players in that situation now with Lindor next to bat? He's got to use that bat again, right? Respect the streak, or what do you think?
I think you absolutely roll with it. Although they're bringing them out new bats now. Carlos Carrasco. What do you need? What do you need, Frankie?
Try my bat. Try this one.
I agree with Buster. I don't know if you mess with the streak. Big picture, little picture. got too many good things going on right here, but maybe they couldn't mess it up if they tried right now. Encarnacion slams his bat down to the ground in disgust, and Jones dropped the ball. Adam Jones dropped a routine fly ball.
Well, this happened earlier this week with Adam Jones, and this is just inexplicable. Cool night, looking up in the air, maybe a little bit of miscommunication here between Smith and Jones, but he's there.
Yeah. He's already caught it. Takes his eyes off of it, and it bounces right out.
The one earlier this week, though, he was thinking about throwing out a runner, and he kind of took a peek at the last. There's nobody on base right here. And boy, hard to fathom.
Just one of those that'll never happen again. Dropping that routine of a fly ball for an outstanding center fielder.
That gets Jay Bruce to the plate with a man on, instead of the inning being over. He still can't believe it. So Hellickson, who had thrown 55 pitches through 5, he's already thrown 31 this inning, and because of the Jones error, he's still out there. Ground ball into the shift, and now the inning is over. But it's a productive one for the Indians. Roberto Perez opened up the inning with a home run, and then the next batter, Francisco Lindor, after breaking 2 of his bats, is given one by Abraham Almonte and uses that one to hit a home run. And Almonte's almost as big a star right now as Lindor is. The Coca-Cola Zero Sugar race to 0, and the number is 0 for the Washington Nationals. Their win, and then a Miami loss. After the Washington win, it was the Miami loss that officially clinched the National League East for the Washington Nationals. So congratulations to the Nats, the Astros, and Indians into single digits and their magic number, and the Indians can knock theirs down one more if they can win this game, which would be their 18th consecutive win. Trey Mancini leading off the 7th for Baltimore. He's 0 for 2. So how about the Nationals? I mean, you want to talk about a team that has had a lot of injuries this year. And there are a lot of teams that have had a lot of injuries this year, but Washington has had many significant injuries and still dealing with some. And they've, what is it, September the 10th, and they've clinched a division title already. Now that says something about the other 4 teams in their division too. But congratulations to the Nationals.
And if you're a Nats fan, I mean, how much do you want Adam Eaton to come out like Kyle Schwarber did in the World Series for the Cubs? I mean, a guy who's been out all season. There's a small chance that he could get back to the end.
I think they'd settle for Bryce Harper.
Yes.
Well, guys, the guys who are coming back on that team from injuries this month, it's been fantastic. Max Scherzer was out. He's come back. He looks great. Steven Strasburg, scoreless inning. Trey Turner back. He looks great.
Well, and to remake their bullpen like they were able to do through the trade deadline. Look, a tremendous weakness for the Nationals in the first half of the season. They've primarily fixed that problem. It's a strong bullpen now.
Bouncer to short, 1 down. Activity now in the Indians bullpen with Bauer working here into the 7th inning and over 100 pitches. The right-hander is Joe Smith, picked up from the Blue Jays in a deadline deal. The left-hander is Tyler Olson, and as all baseball fans know, the bullpen was an extraordinary strength of the Cleveland Indians last year. And if Andrew Miller comes back from his knee injury, Terry Francona might even have a deeper group this year, because everybody that they seem to throw out there is doing a good job.
And I believe Andrew Miller is getting set to throw a sim game perhaps tomorrow. And look, they have the luxury right now of really taking their time with Andrew Miller and making sure he's right, because as we've seen, and as you know, Dan, one of the ultimate weapons in the postseason is Andrew Miller. They want to make sure he's ready to go, and they feel comfortable that he's going to be.
He wants to pitch, though. Let me tell you, he's going to throw a simulated game tomorrow. He told me yesterday he really wants to come back as soon as possible to get back into the flow of things. But as we heard from Terry Francona, it's still going to be a little while longer.
Well, because they can. I mean, he's a guy they don't have to rush back as much as he might be ready, and he loved the competitiveness of wanting to get back out there, but they don't need him right now.
Curveball for a strike to Chris Davis. It's 1-2.
How about just the fastball breaking ball combination Bauer's been showing last few innings, and working even quicker than he was those first 3. I mean, he is getting the ball and going. It's already a quick pitch as it is, but quick between pitches as well.
Davis sends one high and deep down the left field line, and it's going to carry out of here. Opposite field home run for Chris Davis, his 24th on the season, and the Orioles are back within a run.
But it's the pitch he was able to lay off that sets this up for Chris Davis. He was struck out in his previous at bat on the breaking ball. They go back to it, Perez and Bauer. He bounces the curveball. Because Davis was able to lay off it, he gets another pitch, and this time gets to one of those high fastballs. I think they wanted it in on his hands. It leaks back over to the heart of the plate, and even though it's up, Davis able to get to it, and that awesome power able to ride it out the other way.
So the home run by Davis makes it a 1-run game and ends the night for Bauer. 3-2 Indians. Goodyear, covering the bases with tires for superior performance all season long. Goodyear, more driven. 7th inning in Cleveland. The Indians lead the Orioles 3-2. Trevor Bauer knocked out of the game after the home run by Chris Davis, but still had a really good night.
Well, it's about how he's able to set up his two best pitches, curveball and his fastball. He sets it up, curveball to fastball, but he'd also reverse it tonight to get the swing and miss. Start batters off with the fastball, then go to the curveball out of the zone in that same tunnel, and he's not afraid to back it up. Curveball to curveball, back to back. That's the confidence, and what's more impressive with his maturity is he did not have that pitch the first 3 innings. Dialed it in, was able to utilize it off the fastball to have himself a very good night and keep this Indians team in the game.
And the new pitcher, a guy the Indians picked up from the Blue Jays on July the 31st. Veteran right-hander, guy who's been with the Indians before, Joe Smith.
Yeah, on with the Indians for the 2nd time, just adding to that great depth in this outstanding bullpen. Look at that strikeout to walk ratio, 65-10.
And Terry Francona loves using him against right-handed batters. That sidearm delivery, very tough on righties. His Trumbo grounds out. MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get club-branded home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live video highlights, radio broadcast, statcast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. Two down for Wellington Castillo. And another ground ball. Some efficiency there by Joe Smith. Inning over. 1-run game. The Indians come into the game having won 17 in a row, took an early 1-0 lead in the first. Trevor Bauer, a very strong night. Getting Manny Machado there, Roberto Perez and Francisco Lindor each homering after the Orioles had tied it at 1. Baltimore got one back, so it is 3-2 for the Indians right now. Going to the bottom of the 7th as Cleveland tries to extend the winning streak to an 18-gamer. Jonathan Scope, a very strong night for the Orioles, 3 for 3. He has driven in a run. But again, the big home runs by Perez and Lindor back-to-back, breaking the tie. Still a 1-run lead for the Indians after the home run in the top half of the 7th by Chris Davis made it a 1-run game. More baseball action coming your way this week on ESPN. A Wednesday night doubleheader for you. Oakland is at Boston, and then the Dodgers, who lost again today. They were beaten 8-1 by Colorado. That's 15 losses in 16 games for LA. You'll see them against the Giants Wednesday night, and then we'll have them 1 week from tonight against the Nationals, who, by the way, in addition to clinching their division today, are only 4 games back of the Dodgers now for the best record in the National League. New pitcher, meanwhile, for Baltimore is left-hander Richard Blyer.
Richard Blyer has done an outstanding job for this excellent bullpen of the Baltimore Orioles. On for the 49th time. Excellent ERA. Not a big strikeout guy. Will be upper 80s with a sinking fastball, and also mix in a cut fastball and a changeup.
Carlos Santana, the batter. And he takes a strike at the knees. Didn't like the call. The count is 0-2 on Santana, who has flied out and grounded out tonight. After Santana, Yandy Diaz, and then Bradley Zimmer scheduled here in the 7th for the Indians. Indians will stay home and start a 3-game set with Detroit tomorrow. Then they've got Kansas City coming in for 4. Royals with a big win over the Twins today. He's a talker, isn't he? He is constantly in motion, doing something, eating during the game, keep the energy level up, talking to teammates. Whatever he's doing, though, it's working. Long run for Smith, won't have a play. Well, while we have a moment, as fun as this is and as great as baseball is and as exciting as the winning streak is, obviously there are a lot more important things going on right now. We touched on Hurricane Irma off the top of the show, and I know the hearts of everybody across the country and everybody impacted by it are thinking about the folks in Florida, wishing them well, hoping that everybody is safe. And we talked with Buck Showalter, the manager of the Orioles, about the situation. Their spring training facility is down in Sarasota. And he said, first of all, he looked at his roster and he counted up 8 players or coaches who have some kind of close connection to the Miami area. And then he said, hey, don't forget our facilities in Sarasota. And apparently a lot of Orioles staffers have gone and they're sheltering themselves in the spring training facility in Sarasota right now. And what they did, because they've got a lot of supplies there, they got a lot of food there, a lot of emergency, whatever they might need over the next days or weeks, who knows how long it'll be. So a lot of people are seeking shelter, and I'm sure that's happening countless times around the state. And I know, we all have, whether it's friends or family, or even if you don't have anybody, you can't turn on the television, see the scenes of what's going on in Florida without having your heartache. It was Houston and Beaumont and other areas a couple of weeks ago, and now another disaster just wreaking havoc, unfortunately, in Florida.
Buck Showalter mentioned too, I mean, his own office down there with no glass windows. He said there's cot after cot just lined up, as many as they can stuff in. They've got cars in the weight room.
Yep.
I mean, it's a different time right now down in Florida and throughout the Caribbean as well.
Pitch in the dirt will bounce to the backstop, and up to second. On the wild pitch goes Santana.
Just looks like a fastball that Blyer just doesn't command it all here. This is not usually a pitcher expecting in the dirt, and just bounces and ricochets. So Tim Beckham unable to get the ball out of his glove cleanly at shortstop, allowed Santana to beat that hit out, and now a wild pitch has him in scoring position as the Indians try and add to a 1-run lead.
One and one on Yandy Diaz, who's 0 for 2.
One thing Diaz does very well at this point in his career is uses the entire field. He goes the other way very easily, naturally. Feel like eventually some pull power may come. But in this situation, you love that. No outs, but the potential to hit that ball to the right side, or his natural swing allows him to go the other way. No outs to potentially get Santana to third base with less than 2. Be a great thing for the Indians here.
One, 2. And a little pop up on the right side of the infield. Scope there, 1 down. So Cleveland with a 3-2 lead to try to extend the major's longest winning streak in 15 years to an 18-gamer. There's a whole lot of firsts up there. They've scored more runs than anybody over the last 17 games. They've got the best ERA of any team in baseball over the last 17 games. Baltimore a 500 team, 2.5 game back of the Twins for the second wild card spot. As Bradley Zimmer will look at the strike. Terry Francona just raving about his defense, saying that from his perspective, you know, as a manager, you know your park, you see a ball off the bat, you kind of figure out, you think you know where it's going to be, and then all of a sudden Zimmer's there to try to make a play on it, get a glove on it, make a catch.
Yeah, there's been a number of plays this year where Terry Francona said, I don't know why he's taking the angle he's taken, because he can't get to it, and he eventually does. I mean, one thing we've seen from Zimmer is tremendous top end speed, and being such a tall guy, what's impressive is Terry's talked about him getting into that top speed quickly, which isn't an easy thing to do for a guy so tall.
And then he's got that like Kevin Kiermaier ability to go and dive for balls where it's more like superhero in the air for a good length of time. Put on your cape and catch the ball.
Well, Kevin Pillar falls into that category.
Chopper to first, and Davis got him. Davis kind of circling around the ball to have some momentum to get him over to Zimmer, who is not yet up. Zimmer's shaken up on the play.
Well, Chris Davis, who has really become a very good first baseman. We've seen him make some plays tonight. And here, you know, even understanding the speed of Zimmer, he very calmly makes this play, a slow developing play, makes sure he secures it, and then hopefully, hopefully it's not something that takes Zimmer out of this game. So you can clearly see he catches him.
Knocks his helmet off. That's how hard he goes in.
And you can see how violently his head snapped back after it hit the ground. Ooh.
I don't see. left hand. He's got that cut too above his left eye.
So they tend to Zimmer. The left hand definitely at least part of the issue. As the Orioles make a pitching change as well. We'll step aside, try to sort it all out for you. And well, the Indians leading the Orioles 3-2 here, bottom 7. Presented by Taco Bell and the $5 steak quesarito box. And in part by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer, longer. Hey, Sage Steele is back in Bristol, so start your day with her. Randy Scott, Jay Harris, weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN for the new Sports Center AM. They'll get you updated on all the latest sports news, have all the late game highlights, and everything else you need to know. You can also catch it streaming live on the ESPN app.
Well, in comes Darren O'Day, who's been one of the best relievers in the game from a setup standpoint the last few years for Baltimore. Not quite as dominant a season this year, but still very strong strikeout to walk ratio. Another sidewinder. What he does so well is he mixes in the 2-seam and the 4-seam. So he's not just a guy that is your typical sidearmer where he's sinking fastball slider. He's able to pitch at the top of the zone as well with a 4-seamer that helps him not only with righties to give him a different look, but also helps him get out lefties as well.
Roberto Perez is the batter. And he chased that slider about 6 inches off the plate. Last time up, Perez led off the 6th inning with a home run off Jeremy Hellickson. That broke a 1-1 tie. Francisco Lindor followed it up with a home run of his own. Runner at third with 2 down here with the Indians trying to tack on to the bottom of the 7th.
Look at that home run earlier. Hellickson wanted to go down and away with a fastball, and it leaked over the heart of the plate, stayed up on the inner half, and Perez put a charge in it, coming right off an inning where the Orioles had tied the score. Perez, an unlikely home run hitter there. Another long line of the heroes played by these Indians player up and down this roster during this 17-game win streak.
Tried to check it, and he succeeded. It's a full count. Lindor waiting on deck, hoping for a chance tonight. He is 2 for 3, hoping for a chance to hit this inning. Runner at third is Santana. 2 down, 3-2 Indians. And ball 4. Got activity in the Indians' pen right now. Right-hander is Nick Goody, the left-hander Tyler Olson. So this suggests that Brian Shaw, who's normally the 8th inning guy for the Indians, probably unavailable tonight. He has worked an inning each of the last 2 days.
Lindor with the big home run, his last at bat. He's had great numbers this season, obviously power numbers versus right-handed pitching, being the switch hitter he is. From the left side, you see where his home runs are now. 19 of his 29 home runs with that middle inside part of the plate. And look at even the ones right there on Black that he's able to cover with those quick hands. He can show his power from.
2 for 3 tonight, a double and a homer.
And that's a spot he just missed. Of course, his last at bat, he was able to foul off a bunch of pitches, get one more middle off of Hellickson that he just crushed. Of course, the bat of Almonte, the big help on that, but another home run to his credit off a right-handed pitcher. All smiles.
Back to one of his own bats here. He takes inside, a ball and a strike.
And this is a good look into how O'Day likes to attack left-handed hitters. Both these first 2 pitches, he's come in hard on the hands of Lindor. Missed his spot there, but he will routinely climb the ladder in the strike zone with more of a 4-seam pitch to lefties.
Ground ball, scope, and that will end the inning. The Indians will leave a couple of men on at the end of 7. They lead the Orioles 3-2.
Is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. We go to the 8th inning here in Cleveland. The Indians lead the Orioles 3-2. And we have 3 changes for the Indians as we go to the 8th inning. September call-up. Greg Allen is in center field, so Bradley Zimmer unable to continue after suffering that injury. Trying to dive into first base in the bottom of the 7th. Third base, Giovanni Urshela takes over for Yandy Diaz, and on the mound for the Indians is lefty Tyler Olson.
Tyler Olson has come up and just added to the strength of this Indians bullpen. He's been excellent. On for the 20th time. You see, hasn't allowed an earned run yet. Outstanding strikeout to walk ratio. Those are with a fastball, 4 and 2 seam. Curveball, he'll throw about 40% of the time, and a changeup. Has really owned left-handed hitters, and to that, Buck Showalter goes to his bench here.
Joey Rickard is in to pinch hit for Seth Smith. The right-handed bat in there against the left-hander Olson. Rickard hitting in the 9 spot. Beckham and Machado to follow. And a swing and a ground ball to second for the first out of the inning. And that was it. Terry Francona wanted one batter, and right-hander Nick Goody is now going to come into the game. He's got a deep, versatile pen, and we're going to see a few of them here tonight. Indians leading by 1. How rare is it to win 17 in a row over the last 87 years? It's only been done 6 times, including the Indians' current streak. And as we mentioned earlier tonight, the longest streak in Major League history. The New York Giants won 26 in a row in 1916. Indians looking to make it 18 in a row tonight. They've got a 3-2 lead in the 8th inning, and out of the bullpen comes right-hander Nick Goody.
Well, it's an embarrassment of riches, really. I mean, the Indians so deep in that bullpen. No Andrew Miller, Brian Shaw getting a night off, but still able to go to yet another in the long line of quality arms. Outstanding year for Goody on the 49th time. Fastball, low 90s, and that slider right there. He'll throw almost 50-50 with the fastball slider combination.
Tim Beckham, the batter, he's 1 for 3, and a double back in the 3rd inning. Orioles try to avoid falling below the 500 mark. If they win tonight, they'll pick up a game on the day on Minnesota, with the Twins losing to the Royals earlier. The Indians bullpen on the year has a 2.86 ERA. The next best team is the Dodgers at 3.18. I mean, they're way ahead of anybody else in baseball. Cody Allen, the closer, getting loose.
And as we've seen, guys, more and more over the years, it seems like that bullpen in the month of October just plays more and more of an impactful role. With the days off built in, when you're able to have 4, 5, 6 quality guys you can go to night in and night out, shortening the game becomes so big in October. And the Indians and that bullpen do it better than anyone.
See Zach Britton with the ball in his hand. The Orioles bullpen right behind the Indians pen.
You know, one of the most remarkable combinations of numbers that you see the Indians generating, the fact that they have a chance to become the first team in Major League Baseball history to average more than 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. They lead the majors in strikeouts, and they also allow the fewest walks of any pitching staff. The most strikeouts, the fewest walks.
Pretty good combination, huh? Really, the big stories for them going forward are, do they clinch the best record in the league or not? Will it be them, the Astros? Maybe the Red Sox can make a run, but right now the Indians ahead of the Astros. And I think what's on the, not the back of the mind, but the forefront of every Indians fan's mind is Andrew Miller. I mean, they want Kipnis back. They're hoping to get Brantley back. But can they get Miller back after how incredible he has been? What a scoop by Santana. Beckham retired.
By the way, guys, we heard from the Indians. They're saying that Bradley Zimmer suffered a left hand injury. This is less than a week after, of course, he went on concussion protocol for trying to make a catch last week.
Well, Urshela just on. He, who is an outstanding defender, just makes a really bad throw and just overcooks it. A little in-between hop over there for Santana, who handles it with his white shoes over there flawlessly. I'm kind of digging the white cleats, I got to tell you. I am really digging the white. I'm digging the look.
You ever wear white cleats?
Pants up high over the knee.
Ever wear white cleats in the big leagues?
No, but if I could come back for a day, I think I'd go with the Carlos Santana look right there. I like that.
Manny Machado is the batter. He's 2 for 3, has singled and doubled and scored a run. Orioles down a run here in the 8th inning.
I'm ready for you, Carlos. Just give me the pants I can roll up. Be good to go.
Such a dork. He's so excited right now. Can you rock that? Can you do the pants above the knee with the...
I don't know if I could pull it off, but I'll give it a try.
It's the Hunter Pence look, right?
That's right.
1-2, the count on to Machado.
Yeah, I'm digging the baggy pants. That's the Dion pants. I used to wear those.
Rising to their feet here in Cleveland. Their team up by a run in the 8th inning. 2-2 on to Machado.
Just overcook that slider. You don't want to give in too much here to Machado and his power, even with Scope on deck. But to get him to potentially chase out of the zone, you've got to be able to start that slider in the strike zone and move it out. That one started away, and Machado was able to quit on it early and often.
Didn't go, and the count is full. Machado reaches, then the Indians have to deal with Jonathan Scope, who's got 3 hits tonight. 1-run game. And he got him. Threw him another slider. Goody strikes out Machado to end the top of the 8th. Time on ESPN2. Check out Intentional Talk with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar. They'll give you everything you need to know about baseball's playoff races here in September. All the hottest topics of the game will be covered. And, of course, you can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. Joey Rickard will remain in the game at right field after pinch hitting for Seth Smith. And the new pitcher is left-hander Zach Britton.
The closer of the Baltimore Orioles, the outstanding closer, on for the 34th time. Out through some injuries this year, but he of the mid-upper 90s sinking fastball. Not a lot of secret with what he's doing. He'll throw that sinker about 95% of the time, occasionally mix in a slider, but you're getting a heavy, hard, outstanding sinker.
Lonnie Chisenhall leads off the inning, and a first pitch ground out. Britton on the DL twice this year with a forearm issue. The second time, but it cost him a couple of months. Not on the same situation here, obviously, but earlier this year had a streak of 60 consecutive successfully converted save opportunities snapped. I mean, when you start talking about the very best in the 9th inning, this guy is right at the top of the list.
And he will be talked a lot about during the offseason, possible trades. He's a free agent after next season. He's in line to make something in the range of $13–14 million in arbitration.
His name was buzzed around a bunch even this year. The trade deadline, a lot of people thought he might get sold. I know the Astros, the Dodgers, a bunch of teams were in on trying to get Zach Britton.
But I think it was those injury concerns and him not being quite as dominant as he's been the last few seasons probably scared some teams off enough.
Jose Ramirez hits one sharply, but right to Manny Machado.
And Manny Machado with those great hands down there handles that baby flawlessly.
Watching the Windians, as they've become known here in Cleveland, to win number 18 almost makes it a little bit easier to go watch the Browns play. You know, if you're a Cleveland fan,
so they made that sign like in like an hour and a half between the time that game ended and this one started.
They walked over from the Browns stadium and picked up a piece of cardboard and sharpied it up. Let's go.
If you got the Indians and you got the Cavs, you're doing all right.
Yeah,
you're doing all right. Of course, with the Cubs winning the World Series last year, now the longest streak belongs to the Indians. 1948. Scope. Nice play. And Encarnacion retired in a quick 3-up, 3-down inning. So we're going to the ninth here in Cleveland. The Indians leading 3-2. Their closer, Cody Allen, getting set to come in and try to nail it down with the final 3 outs of the game. Will Terry Francona's Indians run that winning streak to 18? Away from their 18th consecutive win. 3-2 leading Baltimore going to the 9th inning, and Tito Francona has sent in his closer, Cody Allen.
Cody Allen on now for the 60th time. 25 saves, outstanding ERA, outstanding strikeout to walk ratio. Does it with a mid-90s fastball and a curveball. 2-pitch guy having another outstanding year. The back end of this Indians bullpen.
He'll face 3, 4, 5 here in the Orioles lineup, beginning with Jonathan Scope, who's had a really nice night. 3 for 3, 3 singles. He's driven in a run. Scope will be followed by Adam Jones and then Trey Mancini. 3 dangerous hitters, all with power. Sports Center is coming your way next here on ESPN. A look at all the action around the major leagues. And of course, the first Sunday of the National Football League season. Kevin Connors, John Anderson, locked and loaded and ready to go. Bet you John Anderson will be talking a little Packers tonight. Bet you he gets the Packer highlight segment. 1-2, the count on Scope.
Still some pitches to work with here for Allen. Scope, free swinger. You can get him to leave the zone. Important you keep it out of the zone. Well located breaking ball. Somehow Scope able to spoil that.
Just the fact that he's able to foul that off. I mean, it's a dirty pitch even in the zone with the depth coming out of the zone. That thing's out of the zone moving further away, and Scope just the hand-eye coordination. It's impressive.
1-2 again. Popped up out of play.
Spoils another good one. That was perfect execution again by Allen. Down and away. Good bite on that breaking ball. But again, Scope able to spoil it. And even though he's a free swinger, because he's got so much plate coverage, he's able to spoil pitches. And that's how he gets a pitch count up to eventually take advantage of mistakes to the tune of 31 homers.
Out number 1.
So what does Cody Allen come back with? The 2 breaking balls prior to that, kind of moving a little more lateral with some of the depth. This one goes a little more straight down. Almost running back to the corner of the plate, and look at the break. I mean, that's a good, I'd say 10 to 11 inches below the bat of Scope, and he's trying to just foul this pitch off like he did to the 2 prior, but you see that depth. This is what makes Cody Allen the closer for the Indians. It allows him to throw this pitch, first pitch, the last 3 in that at bat.
Adam Jones 0 for 3. Jones has had kind of a rough night. He's grounded into a couple of double plays and also dropped a ball in the outfield for an error. The Indians 2 outs away from winning 18 in a row. I mean, this is something that fans here in this ballpark, or Cleveland fans wherever they may be, they're going to be telling their kids about it. This doesn't happen a lot. It's 15 years since any team won this many in a row.
And one time in 64 years. Remarkable.
And the Oakland A's winning 20 in a row back in 2002.
But not going to be easy here in the 9th, even though you got your closer on with the dangerous middle of this order. All guys capable of taking advantage of a mistake and tying this baby up.
Overthrew a fastball, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
A little bit of an overthrow there, 1 and 2. Definitely a place we've seen them attack Adam Jones tonight. Up with that fastball. A lot of ways you can go here. You can get that breaking ball if you execute it to chase, but if you go above the belt, that's a place you can have success with the fastball.
Got him up above the belt with a fastball for out number 2.
And the threat of that breaking ball plays that mid-90s fastball up even more for Cody Allen. Perfectly executed at the top of the zone, maybe just above, mid-90s, and just blows Adam Jones away. Great execution.
So they're an out away. The batter is Trey Mancini. Doubleheader Wednesday, the A's and the Red Sox, followed by the Dodgers and Giants. And 1 week from tonight, we'll have the Dodgers and the Nationals for you here on Sunday Night Baseball. How much fun are these folks having? Indians will stay home, start a series with the Tigers tomorrow night. Corey Kluber's scheduled to start on Tuesday in the middle game of the series. One and 2.
I don't think there's a person sitting down in this entire stadium.
Nope. Into right field. 18 in a row. The longest winning streak baseball has seen since 2002 continues. As Cody Allen gets the save here in the ninth, and the Indians run their winning streak to 18 with a 3-2 win over the Orioles.
Guys, we are looking at a Cleveland Indians team without a weakness right now.
The bullpen's deep, the rotation is outstanding, and they might even get healthier between now and the end of the season. They'll face the Tigers tomorrow night. The Indians have won 18 in a row. For Aaron Boone, Jess Mendoza, Buster Olney, and our crew, I'm Dan Showalter saying so long from Cleveland. Sports Center's coming up next. Kevin Connors and John Anderson standing by.